Welcome. My name is Georgia Court. I'm the proprietor here. And I love seeing people turn out for poetry on a Sunday morning when you could very well be at the beach. And this is very much appreciated. I think we have two wonderful poets who are going to read today. But before we get started, and I'll introduce them one at a time, and then they'll come up and read. I have a lot of announcements, and truly bear with me, because I think the things that I'm going to tell you about are things that most of you in here are going to be interested in, because they're all related to writing and or to poetry. Okay, so that's why I want to let you know that. So get your notebooks out or something, because right. We have a lot of events coming up in the next few weeks that really are related to poetry and, as I say, writing sort of workshops. The first one, and I'm just going kind of through the calendar for the most part, on Saturday, January 24th, there is going to be an intensive workshop, The Mechanics of Funny, a humor writing intensive. That's going to be led by Emily Menez and Bryn Durgan, who's sitting in the back. And Bryn is a wonderful person who runs the events here at the bookstore, but what you may not know about her is she has had multiple humor pieces published in the New Yorker. So she's the real deal. And the two of them are going to do an intensive workshop, a 3-hour humor writing workshop on Saturday the 24th, right here from 1 to 4 p.m. And you can go on to our website and you can get the tickets to do that if you're interested in that. Then, for a whole week, Monday through Friday, starting January 26th, we're bringing back the wonderful Julie Metz, who is a terrific memoirist. And she's going to be teaching a workshop on how to write a memoir. And it's called The Art of the Scene, Bringing Your Memoir to Life. She's a New York Times best-selling author, a wonderful teacher, and that's an evening thing, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., Monday, January 26th through that Friday, January 30th. Once again, you can go to our website and sign up for that. Then I'm going to talk about the big thing coming for me, which is the big annual Poetry Life Festival. And that's happening over 2 weekends here. The first event is on, it's on a Monday.
Monday, February 16th.
Yeah, Monday, February 16th. I'm looking at the date to apply, that's
Yeah.
what threw me. Monday, February 16th, and it's at Florida Studio Theater. And pretty much every year we have done this event. It's a favorite poem reading, which was started by Robert Pinsky when he was Poet Laureate of the United States. And he came here in 2012 to do our first one with us, okay? This event will be held at Florida Studio Theater February 16th. If you would like to read your favorite poem, not one you wrote or your boyfriend wrote, but a favorite poem out of the canon. She knows something we don't know. A favorite poem out of the canon. Apply for that, and the applications are due by Thursday, January 15th, because out of the poetry that we get, those of you who apply to be readers, we will put together a program that then you will be a reader at Florida Studio Theater if you're selected to do that. So pick a good poem. Pick a poem that is not too crazily long. And the reason I say that is today I had a submission and the poem was 6 pages long.
Oh, that's way too long.
So I wrote back to the person to say, please, can you pick something shorter for us to choose from? So just bear that in mind. 1 or 2 page length poetry, a poem that is accessible, and what I mean by that people won't have the printed poem in front of them. So the listener needs to be able to like get it as you're reading it aloud to them. So just a little bit of advice is how do we choose, you know, what we're gonna put on that stage. And that will be at Florida Studio Theater. And then you're given like 1 minute to talk about why you chose it. Not to be academic, because the iambic pentameter is all perfect or something, but what it meant to you. Why did you pick that poem? What memory did it bring to you? That's what we're looking for. So please apply for that, because we want to have a nice reading that day, okay? And that's the evening of Monday, February 16th. That is at the show itself. The reading itself is at 7 o'clock at Florida Studio Theater. And even if you don't want to be a reader, you can get tickets to go to that, okay? Then the following weekend, on Monday, February 23rd, we are going to have our 2 featured poets here in Sarasota. And we're bringing back Amy Nezuko-Mata-Teal, who is a fabulous author, prose and poet, and Ross Gay, who it'll be his first time here. Amy has been here a couple of times, and people just love her. So Monday, February 23rd, in the loft here at 11 a.m., she and Ross, who both write prose in addition to poetry, are going to be talking about that writing process and how that poetry informs their prose writing. So tickets are available to that on our website. And that evening at 7 p.m. at Florida Studio Theater, this is in the loft, the first one's in the loft. The evening one is at Florida Studio Theater, and it will be the 2 of them in discussion with Kate Alexander of Florida Studio Theater about their poetry writing. They'll read their poems, and it's bound to be an interesting evening because there will be a lot of audience discussion, so you'll be able to really talk with them while they're on stage.
And that one quick interjection.
Yeah.
The event that's in the at 11 a.m. in the loft, that event is an in-person signing, so they'll be personalizing the books. The event at the theater, you still get books, different books, and those are pre-signed, just a heads up.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And then remind me what Rick Hillis is going to do.
Yeah.
We talked.
So there will be, we don't have this on the website yet, but
right.
that Saturday, so the Saturday before that Monday, so what is that, the 21st?
Yeah.
There will be a workshop similar to the writing intensive, where it's a workshop just 1 to 4 p.m., 3 hours. And that will be a poetry writing workshop with Rick Hillis.
With Rick Hillis, who is a professor at Vanderbilt University.
Yeah.
So
And he's a fantastic instructor. We always, I know many of you have.
Yeah, he's been
before.
back several times, and I think those of you.
And it's for all levels too.
Right, that's exactly right. And then the last thing I'm going to mention with poetry, because it's a little further in the future, but you might want to know about it. Doug Knowlton, who's here, is going to be holding a poetry writing workshop, and that goes for how many weeks in a row?
5.
5 weeks in a row. The first week is the week of March, it's on a Wednesday, March 4th. And then it's 5 weeks in a row. of
Every
poetry.
Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, 2 to 4 for 5 weeks. Okay. Sorry, but there was just so much to talk about coming up very soon, and I am assuming this audience might be at least a little bit interested in the poetry stuff. So I thought I'd let you know. Okay. Our first reader today is Sue Hargis Spigel. Sue has written poetry and stories since elementary school. Hoping for vast improvement since then, she participates in workshops, readings, and open mic nights in Sarasota, including the Word Show, Poets Unplugged at Fogartyville, and classes at ACE with Patricia Rockwood. And she's done an open mic reading here at the bookstore as well. She's worked as a writer, editor, nonprofit publicity coordinator, and administrative assistant. She participates in Dancing in the Moment, an improv dance group, and volunteers as a sea turtle patroller and at a church food distribution site. So, I think you have a lot to write poetry about. Okay, welcome Sue Hargis Spigel to the mic.
And my other talent is crashing to a sidewalk and injuring myself, but that's on the way. Okay. I'm gonna make sure I go over.
You're probably gonna have to get very close to the mic. I'm sorry.
I can turn it up too.
I've been told that too.
I'm gonna turn it off now. That'll help.
Okay. Get to hear my golden voice. I know you from somewhere. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. So I'm not too short. Okay. All right. Little dove. Little brown dove lies in yellow winter grass, dead. No apparent injury or illness. Sweet dark eyes open as if contemplating the ragged bed that holds her perfect form, her soft feathers. What plague claimed her? Soon the reliable ants will come, punch the clock, commence their task of monotonous chewing, as they must. But not yet. Rest now, little dove, your earthly work finished. Your sinless eyes need behold this tragic earth no longer. Now God's arms enfold you, sweet one. Love never dies, little dove. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Graduate school. Air full, thick, heavy with waiting. Bloated snow clouds cling to dismal earth. Indoors, thin-necked lamps, bent over dark cherry desks, concentrate their beams on snow-white paper, racked with students' scrawl. Pallid scholars' foreheads droop, outdoor longing, where little, where little bird feet scratch illiterate notes in new snow. Children poke rabbit tracks with 3 fingers. Okay. Academia plods like silent winter's graying twilight. Yet, in library quiet come the whisperings of advancing green. Okay, so I'll continue. The universe refuses our elegies. Sometimes the universe refuses our grief, spits our sorrow back at us as if we are nothing, crumbs on a plate, as if our departed ones were nothing, are nothing, an acceptable loss. Interrupted grief. We must beat back the forces of ungrief when the universe refuses to allow us to mourn. I received the kindness of 4 hours alone with my mother on her last day. I didn't know. Did she? Did we sense it? She asked me to bring cookies the next day. We hugged as I left her apartment, her thin frame startling inside my embrace. Do you care at all, ancient universe that holds us captive, born with free will that knows more than I do? A limpkin screams in the night's thick air, on the edge of my hearing, a faint cry. Her scream, now closer, pierces my sleep. What loss has she suffered? Thoughtless, shimmering universe, open your starry heart. Stop demanding sacrifice. Permit us time for grief and memory. We must write our own elegies after we write for whom and what we've lost. The bird that cries in the distant night is all of us screaming, the universe being too cruel to help. I wrote that in Patricia Rockwood's workshop during the pandemic, but it still applies, I think. Indigo sky. In blue twilight, trees gather. Leafy branches imprint the sky. First flaming, now calm indigo. What do trees discuss in midnight conversations? In blue-violet dusk, birds quiet themselves and their peeping children. Twigs settle in 1,000 nests. Night insects stir and hum. Frogs begin their impromptu symphony, unknown to them before they begin. Night breeze glances my arm. The eternity of nature, yet the impermanence of nature's particular moment. All this in the hour of indigo sky. Okay. This is called July 4th. I wrote it for postcard poetry festival where you write poems and mail them to people you've never met. So,
Great idea.
yeah, July 4th. This day, we celebrate distant patriotism. It began not with guns so much as with feather pens and inkwells. So today, we must write of writers who believed in reading and reason. I guess I have more time, right? Okay, I'll try this one. Heat and drought. Cat gazes out apartment window, planning her escape. A murder of crows convenes on the ledge below, tongues sweating. All ponder life, death, and lunch, and wait for a breath of air. Asphalt on fire, slouching heron gazes into pond. Nothing happening in this heat. July shimmers in afternoon doldrums. Nothing else moves, not grass, not one leaf, and certainly not me. Waiting for motion. Not a twig stirs. Everything holds breath, waiting for what's coming. We feel it. In the sky, conga line clouds pretend, but don't promise. Coy. Air begins to hum, rises to crescendo, a rumble far off, the air mists. Then, nothing. Only the stillness of immovable, saturated August, and disappointed frogs. This one's kind of macabre in a way, but you might like it. It's called Bone Collector Caterpillar. I just learned about this creature during the postcard fest. Okay. In Oahu, the bone collector caterpillar, meat eater, covers itself in insect parts to trick a spider and steal the spider's dinner. It creeps along the web in its costume of dead insect legs and wings. I now feel pity for a spider. We have become the spiders of Oahu, while our overlords become bone collector caterpillars, stealing dinner off our plates. And I think that's all that I have kind of ready, but. Thank you. So, yeah, appreciate it, yeah.
Well, all that you brought were wonderful. So thank you for coming, yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Our next poet is Cedric Hameed. Cedric is an old friend, I'm happy to say, a poet, speaker, and creative guide whose work bridges the heart and the healing, with over 2 decades of experience leading workshops and performances across the country, including institutions like the Kennedy Center and Yale School of Management. Cedric uses the power of spoken word to awaken self-worth, emotional presence, and inner transformation. Cedric is the author of Balance, Meditative Poetry, and is currently working on Love Languages, a new collection exploring bravery, self-remembrance, and the divine nature of being. He's also a founding collaborator in projects that integrate poetry, storytelling, and emotional healing, including the Oneness of Art Initiative and Clinic Kids. Please welcome Cedric Hameed.
I feel so bad to see you have to do that.
Well, is it high enough, Cedric?
I won't make it high enough. Thank you so much. I'd be remiss not to continue. So, when I first moved down from New York, George was one of the first people that I met at her old location on Main Street, and she helped not only helped me catalyze a lot of like the stuff that I'm writing about today. But it was really fated that I met her because I was really hoping to meet someone who understood what spoken word poetry was. And not only did she understand it, she invited a wonderful group from New York City that was doing a documentary at that time. And it was really, really transformational for me. So not only is it great to come back here and read, but thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for letting me come into your doors back then in 2008. That was wonderful. I'm gonna read a lot of poems. And like she said, most of the work, yay. So this first poem that I'm gonna read, so most of my book deals with, not most of it, all of it, deals with like a personal transformation. I feel like I went through a lot of different rebirths in my life, but this one pretty much captures the state of most of my life prior to me getting to the stages that I'm at. So I'll read a couple. I'll explain a couple of them for you before we get into this. The first poem of my book deals with, I want to say, the first baseline of threshold that it took me to get into like a deeper maturity, and it deals with being a child. So I titled this one Inner Child. The face of my fear is me as a child, afraid to move, scared to speak, terrified to be seen, crying for help, sinking quickly into darkness, slowly losing the sight of me, but with every ounce of me holding on to a sliver of my broken dreams. And when he tries to believe he is free, he can't breathe because he's choking on anxiety. The arms he uses for protection have become the chains that hold his body. The trauma shackles his soul. The weight makes his muscles ache, weighing the choice of holding on to the scars or trust the dawn of healing will come once I let the darkness go. One thing is for sure, living in fear is all I've ever known. And as afraid as I am of the person I'm not sure I can be, I'd be lying if I said I had no desire to be him, free him from his mind, see him outside of his scars. I run deep into myself to find him so we can see what we really are. You, child, are not who I need to overcome, but who I am. And because I had to face my fears to find you, it shows me how powerful I really am. Take my hand, and we will heal every broken piece of us we can find. Aware of my emotions, connecting with my soul, healing my mind. In tune with the frequency of love that transcends space and time. I love myself. I trust myself. I can heal myself from being someone else. I am confident in who I am and who I choose to be. My inner child, feeling inspired by his future self, looks up and says, I can't wait to be me. You already are. Thank you. Thank you so much. The next piece I'm gonna read is, let me skip to it because there's some pieces I read a lot, but it jumps into like after I faced that threshold of becoming who I was, or going back to realize how broken that I was as a child. You know, you get to a point, well, let me speak for myself. I got to a point where I'm like, all right, phew, that's over with. But it never seems to be over with. It just seems to be another threshold that's just waiting for you to acknowledge it again. And, you know, for a lot of times I described it as being this void of darkness, which ultimately was like the void of my creation. And it seemed like a very necessary place, even though it was a very fearful place, but the inner child allowed me to find the bravery that I thought was lost. So this next piece is entitled, Into the Void. When the void calls, before you answer, take a breath. When there's nothing but your deepest fear holding you back, breathe and take a step. When your back is against the wall, when it's life or death, and it hurts too much to breathe, and you can't catch your breath, slow down, keep breathing deeply, bury your excuses, and move on without regrets. Breaking, but beautifully blooming, blossoming, out of the dark shell where secrets are kept. Scarred, so scaredly soul-searching, seizing synchronicities, simplicity simultaneously surrendering serendipitously, are the only conditions I'll accept. It's deep, I know, but so is the flow, over the edge, over the rainbow. Living life without regrets, passing through the void, perspective grows. Colors gain new respect. Epiphanies sound like symphonies, harmonically blowing my mind with gale force winds until only the soil of my soul is left. Blessed to be barren, the seeds of my being, planted in the shadows of my potential, led by the light within leads to growth. Dark to light, death to rebirth, inhale to exhale, holding on to let go. To find balance, you'll need to experience both. Closed eyes become open windows to the soul. An open heart liberates my emotions from their sabbatical. The return of the Light King, like lightning, my enlightening, illuminating my pathways. This way, that way, all ways that I say, and the feelings magical. Being present is a gift, my intentions are tactical. Every moment feels astral, natural, frozen in place like a statue, still in my body as my thoughts travel. The mysteries of self finally unravel. When you find it strange that the thought of living in pain seems less painful than trying to change, excuses become see-through. Just being aware of this notion begins to free you to be you, becoming all you were meant to be, free of pain, free to change, free to be safe in my void. Thank you very much. All right. So, I'll get into another piece. Again, going through the void, I'm like, all right, great. That was awesome. And then for me, it led me to another thought of going through more deeper ancestral healing. So I wrote this one in order for, so I'll get a little bit deeper for this one. I won a fellowship in 2017, actually 2018, and I was going to Nantucket to attend the fellowship. My dad and I have an amazing relationship, but it took a lot of understanding through his brokenness in mind to get there. And this was a pivotal moment because his father, my grandfather, I only met twice in my life. Once when I was 5. He gave me like $5, and my brother and I went and spent our money like in 20 seconds. But then the last time that I met him was on his deathbed. And that was very, very ironic because I didn't know I had that many harbored emotions toward him. And my dad had a lot of emotions as well. And when we went on the fellowship, we had a conversation that was really unexpected where we both decided to bare our souls on the fellowship. And I shouldn't say I wouldn't recommend it, but you should be ready for it. I wasn't prepared for any of it. But we left that scenario growing as two broken boys that were able to heal. And from that standpoint, my emotions didn't fully process until many years later, when I decided to write a piece of, not just from his standpoint, my standpoint, my grandfather's standpoint, but also understanding that, we had a very special moment, and I wanted to take a chance to write it from my experience to the collective of what I hope everybody gets a chance to do with, not in private, then, in person. So this one's called Daddy's Home. Daddy's home, not just to see you, but for you to see myself in you, to repair the irreparable damage of being see-through, for letting you walk in shoes that were never meant for you. Daddy's home, to wipe the tears of my beautiful daughter, to ask for understanding as I open my heart. I know I can be a better father. Daddy's home, and I am the boogeyman son, a broken boy's son, who played peekaboo from far away because there's parts of me I never wanted you to see, son. To be honest, I blame everyone but myself for who I am, what I've become. I didn't want to make you my reason. Daddy's home, to slay demons, face fears, and overcome addiction, to love you without judgment, baggage, or conditions. Daddy's home, and I'm not a myth, and my love is not a superstition. And to be real, I must be honest, because I put us in this position. And to be honest, I can't love myself without loving you. And we need to put our hearts on our sleeve to sign this internal petition. Daddy's home, to love, honor, and hold all my commitments, to remove every chain I ever put on you based on my own contradictions. You need to be expansive, in love with yourself, to move through life without restrictions. Daddy's home, Daddy's home. I understand why you won't listen. It's hard to trust the one with the key when they're the one who put you in this prison. It's hard to swim back to the shores of self when the riptide is your current position. When fathers leave, children drown in their wake. And as I saw myself getting swallowed up in the waves of broken fathers and broken cycles, I realized I don't have to drown, and my children I will resuscitate. Breathing in with you as you exhale with me, our love can heal an earthquake, can heal your self-image every time you see my face, and you will see my face, and I will be present to receive your gifts. Freeing my caged birds, no longer dust in the wind, your wings spread, enjoying the drift. Daddy's home, Daddy's here, Daddy's not a myth. Daddy will always be here, because you're the one trip Daddy refuses to miss, a trip to my soul. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, I'll give you a couple more before I turn it back on. Okay, so I fast forward a little bit to get to a point of not just getting through, my own inner work, but then ancestral work. It then became a process of, I guess, not starting like below a point, but starting to be above a place that I didn't think I could be at some point in my life. So I wrote this piece called Under Construction, really to deal with all the different things I constructed in my life that were keeping me distant, not just from people, but distant from myself, but then also, the change mentally that started to happen in belief in myself. So again, this is called Under Construction. I'm done with constructs, at least until I redefine. I need to reconstruct myself by deconstructing the current structure of the complex constructs of my mind. Confusion is evil. Clarity is divine. Simplicity is freeing. Limited perspective is a crime. I need a complete overhaul, a brand new redesign, a completely new perspective leaping through the window of my soul. There's no more pain, only a completely brand new frame of mind. In order to stand, family is my foundation, my inspiration, who I am, and it's about me this time. My emotions flooding in, it's about damn time. These hands that have been like levees break, allowing the love of my tears to flow without fears, turning to rivers of gratitude streaming down my face. And if I love long enough, I'll get swept away, carried away on a jet stream, powered by what inspires me, has revived me, has allowed me to see what's all around me, the light within me, keeping my demons at bay. Buoyant in my self-worth, I let the sea breeze seize me as my heart guides me to the horizon of the day. I'm reconstructing myself in every single beautiful way. Oh, thank you so much. All right. This might be the last one I leave you with. All right, so this one is called prana. I learned that word going through the process of trying to breathe through things and understanding that that word was life force energy, and it was in everything, and breathing in everything. And I wanted to be everything at that point in time, especially reconstructing myself. But also, getting through the reality of there's probably other thresholds I need to get to rather than saying I'm done. And then being comfortable with it, but then also letting that be part of a practice rather than being something that I ran from. So this one is entitled Prana. I choose to give and give again because I've been fortunate to have been forgiven. In growing, I give my all, many times exhausted with nothing left to give. The pressure at its pinnacle, my mind giving up, but my heart won't give in. And if I close my eyes and let go of my thoughts, The ebb and flow of life is eternally giving, eternally lifting, with eternal love and wisdom. As I remember my immortality, I escape reality, transcending every physical condition. Being in my being makes life worth living. The value in me far exceeds the poverty of my being limiting. I am who I am, no exaggerations, I deal in facts. I am who I am, completely me, no lack. I am powerful, I am light, mind, body, soul, completely intact. Completely in focus, I rendezvous with my purpose. My timing is exact. Precise in my attention, what I've gained, I must give back. Let go to let the energy flow through my head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Let go to let my tears flow. I'm swept away into my intuitive undertow. Let go to feel your soul flow, in and out with each breath. Life forces in your airflow. Breathe, release, let go, give in. You're eternal, not accidental. Loving yourself makes you stronger, not criminal. Expect to be abundant, not minimal. Precisely intentional, gaining back my soul flow. My love is life-giving. My vitality is vital. Thank you all so much.
Is your book for sale here?
Not here. It's on Amazon right now.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, it's not here. So I'm so sorry. I should have brought that down.
No, that's all right, I'm gonna do this. So, is your book distributed by Ingram?
I hadn't started it yet, but I will.
Okay,
Yeah.
if books are distributed by Ingram, then they can be ordered through us, so that's
I'll
just
make sure it's done.
that's just a thing to know. Well, let's give them another round of applause, because they were terrific. Do we have comments, questions, anything somebody would like to say about this reading today? Yeah,
A question for Cedric. You used the term void of my creation. Could you say more about that?
Yeah. So
you wanna come to the mic?
For the longest time, I took a lot of different tragedies or traumas, and I created like a hole. I didn't know how to describe that hole initially, and I tried to hide it a lot. So I played basketball growing up, and you're allowed to be like out of control. So like there's like that was an emotional outlet for me. But I used to describe it as a chip. That chip never seemed to go away. And when I stopped playing basketball, there was like an emotional outlet that was like non-existent anymore for me. And then it became even more consuming, which I started to describe as a void. But then in that point in time, I realized that that place that I was afraid to go into had all this expression that was just waiting to be mastered. So once I decided to go in there, it's almost like being back in the womb, because I described it as being dark, but then I also remembered I was born in the dark. And then that also created a lot of things, obviously, but I realized going back in there was again like a rebirthing process. So it became the chip, that became the hole, that became a void, and then became the void of creation, because I was able to re-identify with something other than the darkness of what it was. Now, thank you for asking the question.
Other comments, questions? Yeah, Doug.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Cedric, I really appreciated your use of the word threshold when it came to your understanding of your personal growth and change. And the reason that really caught my attention was because the text that we're using for our poetry workshop in March by Gregory Orr uses that term, and he relates to how we write poetry with that term and how they are closely connected together, and he reminded me of that today.
Wow, I didn't know that either. So I say that because, again, I told you I played basketball. I couldn't have been any more non-traditional. Again, I ran from everything. So getting into writing, and finding that out. It's funny you said that because I'm really into like Joseph Campbell and the archetypes of life.
Me
And
too.
I didn't understand how much like things were repeating in patterns in that
Yeah.
way. So it's like, it felt like a bunch of initiations through metaphors. So
I'll
like,
be really interested to know what your next threshold
I don't, but like, no, I'm just saying.
You want another threshold?
Yeah, no. So now I beginning to, so the next threshold I feel like for me was to get past the struggle of identifying with myself.
Right.
And then I wrote the second book I finished, it's called Love Languages, that's really just diving into the threshold of not being afraid to love myself. So
Look
that,
forward to that.
yeah. Well, thank you for the comment.
All right.
Yeah, yes. Over here.
I can talk loud enough, really, I can.
Okay. If you can, go for it.
The gentleman who's having the poetry
Yeah,
workshop.
Doug, yeah, Doug
Doug?
Knowlton, yeah.
Hello. I've Googled myself to death trying to find, groups to be held to the discipline of writing spoken word, because I love it. And yours is the first I've been able to find, and I do work on Wednesdays in Brandon at a recovery center for people with substance abuse problems. So that won't work for me. Would you consider having another one? Are you going to have another one? Do you know of other ones? Does anyone in this room know of any groups where I would learn to discipline myself to write every day, and I would read it out loud, which scares the, you know what out of me, 'cause I'll read it in my house, but.
I'm
you
sure
know,
there are many that might speak to that need.
I cannot find them. Yours is the only one I found, and I was so excited. I'm doing flips, and at
Bubba will
the time I cannot.
Bubba is a guy who knows a lot.
Well,
Yippee-yay.
I understand what you're asking for. There were so many announcements that Georgia made. There's a regular, and I recognize again that you work on Wednesdays or whatever. There's a regular poetry book discussion group that goes on here. There are numerous poetry sharing events. You could call them open mics, but we could call them sharing as well. Myself and Tanya Young right here, we co-host an event that's in Bayfront Park, the fourth Thursday of every month, and we can put you on that list, and we read our own poetry and we discuss it.
I'm not ready to do that yet. I was
Well, you can come and
I
just
was
be part
looking
of it.
for a class, but I will attend open mics because it's really inspirational
Yeah.
to hear other people read
Yeah.
their poetry.
And our next open mic here, Brenda's just reminding me, our next Sunday poetry regular session is a true open mic,
Yep, and that's February 8th,
February 8th.
Sunday, February 8th, same time as today, so
Noon.
12 to 1.
Yeah, yeah, bring your own poems and,
You can listen, you can participate,
Right.
and then also I would encourage you to check out once it should be online by Monday, so tomorrow. But the Rick Hillis workshop that Saturday would be great for someone in your position.
Definitely.
yeah, yeah.
What is the date of that?
That-
Did you talk about that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Saturday the 21st.
Okay,
Saturday,
I
February
had that
21st.
written
It's in
down.
the
Thank you so
afternoon.
Yeah.
much.
And Rick is such a wonderful, kind,
Awesome.
open,
Yeah.
awesome
Great teacher.
teacher.
That's part two, because I don't need someone like I had in college.
Yeah.
To shoot me down.
Yeah, no, Rick doesn't shoot anybody down.
Very
He
encouraging.
raises you up, I can tell you that.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, yeah,
I
Bubba.
just want to say, kind of part of what you're talking about. One of the reasons why I like the poetry readings that happen here in this bookshop is not just because we get exposed to Cedric and Sue, et cetera, but it's also as if you could say we're in conversation with the poet. So, Sue talked about different things that led to the creation of some of her poems. Cedric talked about you know, the inspirations and different things that he was going through. That is very different from just a traditional poetry reading where you might not get that.
Or like a slam.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a performance, not, right.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
other,
Thank you, everybody.
other comments or questions? No?
I haven't.
You haven't, go for it.
If Cedric, and tell me your name again, Sue would just briefly explain your process, how you started
Sorry.
and how you grew.
I wanted to observe, and I thought of this before. I used to write more personal poems, and I'm not sure they were better. And now I've noticed they're kind of distant, and at Melanie Lavender's spoken word and yours, I notice a personal. So I don't know if that doesn't really answer your question, but that's just a thing I've
But
noticed.
it's part of it.
But maybe that's what I need to do now, is look at how all these goings on in nature are metaphors for our lives. Sometimes, I have one called Indigo Sky that came in a rush. And in my opinion, those turn out better than the ones where you go, I wanna do this and it's just not working. But these words come at you, but that's kind of, your brain is in the right place.
In the flow.
But other times, like every other kind of writing, you have to kind of go, struggle. I don't like this word, but I'm gonna put it there as a placeholder, and maybe I'll find a better word, more poetic.
My intuition says
Yeah.
there's a place for both of those.
You're right.
The stuff that
absolutely.
flows out of you
Yeah.
and the stuff you work your ass off.
Yeah, you're right, because we didn't get through school by inspiration, it was a combination.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, love